everybody, welcome back to the Magic of the Mind. I'm Riccardo Berdini. Today I have a special guest with me, Dr. Cassra Arbab, a good friend of mine and a real hero in life. So Cassra, how do you describe what you do?
Thank you, Riccardo. I'm a vascular surgeon, which is a type of surgeon that operates on blood vessels in the body, so arteries and veins. And I work here in LA. I work at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in West Hollywood. And I've been doing this for about 2 years now.
Okay, living here in LA or?
No, working as a practicing vascular surgeon.
Okay, you already made us feel, all of us, useless because, you know what I mean? I mean, when I met you, we live in the same building here in Hollywood and we became good friend. Not hard to be good friend of this amazing guy. And when I heard what he was doing, I was really impressed by the fact that you were able to, like, do one of the most dangerous and incredible surgery in the world, and sometimes saving lives, sometimes seeing very bad things, and yet coming out with us and then having dinner with us or hang at the pool with a great spirit without having the bad things of life affect you and your happiness in any way. I have to be honest, like, I mean, you know, I'm a magician, you know, I'm a mentalist. When I have to do some charity event and I am surrounded by little kids that have cancer, or I have to find a friend that is in a very bad moment in life, I mean, of course I do it and I love to do that, but man, if it's hard.
Yeah.
Man, if it's hard to see so much suffering sometimes, to see so much pain, because that's something that for most of us is hard to endure in our life.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine how can you endure it in the life of other people. So I got 1,000 of questions for you today, of course. But we want to analyze, with this podcast, we try to analyze how our mind works and how it can be more effective. And what can we learn from the way that we use our brain? Okay, what can we learn from each other in the way we all use our mind in different ways? So my first question to you is, man, how do you do that?
You know, it's a lot of training. This starts all the way back in medical school, and you know, first couple of years of medical school is basically in the classroom, so you know, in the books. But after the 2 years are done, in your third year, you start to go into the hospital for your rotations, and that's when you get to see patients and rotate on rounds, and you're basically observing the physicians that are treating these patients. So we first get introduced into kind of patient interaction in that third year of medical school.
You're on a call right now, by the way. Let's be clear that he's on a call right now. He could be called for an emergency. We could interrupt this podcast at any moment because that's the life of someone that does your job.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
incredible.
Apologize for any interruptions.
Oh, no, don't apologize. We are honored to have you here, brother.
Thank you. So, yeah, in your third year in medical school, you're really starting to get that initial patient interaction and medical.
What does it mean, that initial patient interaction?
So it's the first time as a person in medical training that you see patients in the hospital, real life patients. So the first 2 years of medical school, you don't interact with people. You're just studying out of books, learning some of the basic science, anatomy, physiology, you know, nutrition, psychology, you know, all these different aspects of kind of the foundation of the medical or the clinical knowledge.
Yeah.
And then once you enter into your third year, that's when you're actually going into the hospital. So I trained in Detroit, in Michigan.
Which is a city that I suppose you see a fair
Absolutely.
amount of crazy things, right?
That was my first introduction to that. You know, we were one of the largest hospitals in the city of Detroit. Detroit has a lot of violence, you know, the low socioeconomic population, so a lot of poverty, you know, patients that have very chronic, bad, advanced diseases because they have lack of medical care. So I got to see a lot of you know, a variety of those type of patients, and in the hospital there, that was kind of my first you know, taste of what you were describing, seeing people suffering.
Do you remember your first patient, the first time that you saw something that really really made you feel like bad, and maybe even made you question about if this was the career that you wanted to have?
Yeah, I don't remember the first patient I ever saw. I have to say that I don't have that initial patient memory in mind, but I do remember specific cases of suffering, mainly in traumas. There's a lot of gang violence and penetrating trauma, meaning, you know, gunshot, stab wounds, versus blunt trauma, which is like a car accident or someone falling off a four-story ledge or something like that. But in penetrating trauma, you know, it's usually an act of violence against one individual to another. Mm-hmm. So we saw a lot of that, a lot of gunshots, a lot of stab wounds, a lot of death, murder. So we've seen. I saw a lot of that in Detroit. Child abuse, unfortunately, is something you see too.
Wow, really?
Children coming into the hospital, broken bones, nearly beat to death. Things like that are very eye-opening and traumatizing even as a medical student, seeing these things for the first time.
So how do you protect yourself from that? How do you find the strength to keep going?
It's part of the world we live in, and we're there to learn to try to help these people. So that's why I went into this field. I wanted to help people and cure disease or treat trauma. At that time I didn't know what it was I wanted. I was influenced a little bit by my father because he's a physician as well, but he specializes in the intestines, gastroenterology. Mm-hmm. Which is what I thought maybe I wanted to be going into medical school, but the beautiful thing about medical school is you really kind of explore everything. You rotate in different rotations, different specialties, and you see everything from obstetrics and gynecology to neurosurgery to internal medicine, emergency room medicine. It's a wide variety, and from those you kind of learn what it is that kind of interests you, what kind of patients you want to treat, what kind of environment you want to be in. Do you want to be a surgeon? Do you want to be a medical doctor? And there's differences between those things. And I'm sorry I went a little off topic because you asked about how you kind of prepare yourself for these things. And I don't know that there's really a way to prepare for it. I think you go into medicine knowing that this is what you want to do with your life. Mm-hmm. And hopefully that is why you went into medicine. Because you want to help people and you want to treat patients, but knowing that you're going into this as a medical student, experiencing these different types of patients and hardships that these patients experience, and I think just over time you learn to kind of I don't want to say get numb to the situation, but you
have to protect yourself.
You do eventually. It's hard to say. It's not like getting used to it, but you see so much of this, and you kind of you're there to try to help the situation. I don't know how to better put it. I'm sorry.
Well, you don't have to be ashamed of the fact that somehow your mind, your subconscious create a sort of protection for yourself, and you get used to it. Because it's not a negative way of describing the process that your subconscious does. I think that what you say, it scares you in the moment you were saying that, but when you realize that it's true, you have to get used to it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you cannot even do your job. If you become too much emotion, sometimes that's why I don't understand how you guys can do that. If I see a kid and in my hands, I have the life of a kid in my hands, I would cry like a baby. I would get emotional. I would run away probably.
Yeah.
Okay, like it's hard. You have to get used to it, and you have to detach yourself emotionally.
Yeah.
Because if you're in there emotionally, it's 30,000 times harder. I think.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. I've had that exact experience actually, and this was a vivid memory. This was past medical school. Now I'm in my residency in general surgery training, and I was doing trauma call at a hospital in Riverside, and this is kind of how I knew I didn't want to go into pediatrics or pediatric surgery. Mm-hmm. Because children I think is definitely a soft spot for me, as I think many people would understand. And unfortunately there was a 3-year-old child, I think he was 3 years old, and his mother was having a baby shower. So she was pregnant, and there was huge family gathering, and the child was playing on one of those bird fountain, they had a nice house. In the front of the house was a large, cement bird fountain.
Yeah.
And I guess he had climbed onto that, and then it tipped over, and he fell, and then it tipped over, and it crushed his head.
Wow.
And so when he came into the emergency room, he was, in arrest, like he was unconscious, and we were doing CPR, and he even had, little brain fragments kind of sticking out of his broken skull, and he didn't make it. And I had to be the one to go in the back, and his mom, mother of the child was there, father, a lot of family members, because it was a big party for the family, and they were waiting in the back, probably hoping and praying that obviously he came through, and he didn't. And I went back there, and I had to be the one, as a resident physician, to be the one to go explain to the mom, I'm sorry, he died. He passed away. We couldn't save him.
Man.
And of course, immediately she just burst into tears. Everyone was crying. It was very emotional, and I tried really hard to hold back from that. And after I broke the news and kind of let them be with their family, I went into a back room and I just started crying. And that was the last time I remember actually crying on as part of my job. But there's many moments where you have these very heavy, stressful situations. So that for me was a very difficult moment, and I just kind of let everything out, loud wailing, crying, and alone in a room off to the side. And I think that's one of the moments where I knew it would be challenging for me emotionally to work with treating children. It's not like children are easier to treat than adults, but for me it was a soft spot, and watching kids suffer and specifically watching kids die, that was hard for me. So that's kind of one vivid experience.
Man, that would be hard for anybody in this world. I don't think there are certain humans in many parts of the world that would not feel anything even with that, but even just your tell was very emotional to hear. So I cannot imagine the family. I cannot imagine. But
yeah.
How many times has it happened that you have to deal with situations like this?
Oh, I can't even count, in numerous times. Yeah.
But let's say weekly it happens. I think it happens almost daily.
Death, no. In my line of work now, what I practice now, which is vascular surgery, we do see, patients lose their lives. Mostly my patient population are elderly patients, anywhere from 60 to 90, or even we've had patients in their, 101, 102 years old. But,
so I got a question.
Yeah.
So after what happened, were you able to ask, hey, I prefer not to take those kind of cases because I'm too sensitive working?
No. So, when you're in residency, you kind of are trying to decide where. So the way it starts is medical school is the initial schooling and training to become a doctor. When you finish medical school, that's when you are, you're an MD, or a DO if you go to DO school. But during medical school is where you decide what kind of profession you want to specialize in. So in medical school, I decided I wanted to be a surgeon. All right, and that's a very broad category because there's many different kinds of surgeons. And so I went that direction. And so then residency, which is training after medical school, in the specialty you decide, is varying lengths. So my residency was 5 years. Okay, during those 5 years, as it becoming a surgeon, or in that case a general surgeon, you rotate in different subspecialties, so narrow categories. So within the realm of surgery, there's colorectal surgery, there's cancer surgeons, there's surgical oncology, there's plastic surgery, everyone knows plastic surgery, there's trauma surgery, trauma being what I was dealing with when that child came in. That was something that you deal with when there's trauma that requires a surgeon to be involved. So again, gunshots, blunt trauma, things like that. So and then there's vascular surgery, and vascular surgery is what I do now. So during my residency, which was 5 years, that's when I rotated on vascular surgery. I spent several months, maybe 4 or 6 months or so during residency training in that specific field of surgery, and that's where I kind of learned this is what I want to do. So you kind of you experience all these different subspecialties, and you decide what you kind of want to do with the rest of your life based on, the type of patients you're going to treat, the type of operations you do, just kind of what really you get engaged in, what you fall in love with, kind of. And for me, that was vascular surgery. So I knew I enjoyed, for the most part, obviously treating children, but I couldn't deal with the opposite of that, which is, dealing with the death of children, the child abuse that I mentioned. You see a lot of that on pediatric surgery. You see a lot of unfortunate, what they call non-accidental trauma, which is.
But so you still treat children? What happens?
So I don't very often, very, very rarely, because typically in my field, cardiovascular disease happens to elderly people, to people that have smoked their whole life, or diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, totally makes sense. All of that stuff. So usually my patient population is much older. I mean, I have some patients that are younger. For example, we also treat varicose veins. So the big bulging veins, the ugly veins on the legs. So we treat varicose veins, and that can be young patients, that can be middle-aged.
But that's not something dangerous.
Not something dangerous.
Or life risky.
Completely different. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I love my field, is I can, I spend some days of the week dealing with very low risk, low acuity, kind of easier problems per se. But still important.
Okay.
Or I can deal with some of the most complex, high risk operations with massive blood loss and high risk of complications and death. So there's a wide variety of what I get to experience.
That's interesting. And you work in two of the major and most dangerous cities, not only in America but in the world.
Yeah.
Because you started in Detroit.
Yeah.
And now you live in LA, in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah.
We live in Hollywood, which is not even the safest place in the world, because besides, for people that don't live in Hollywood, maybe they believe that Hollywood is like, oh, Hollywood, the land of dreams. It's a beautiful area. We're having a lot of fun. It's fantastic, but it's crazy out there.
Yeah.
It's like a jungle.
It is.
And what I see is insane. So I cannot even imagine what kind of cases you can have in the hospital. But I wanted to ask you a question, and my question is, since when you were a kid, you were drawn to this job by your father, you said, because your father were doing that?
So I had a little bit of a non-traditional pathway to where I am today. So originally, when I was younger, like a kid, like you mentioned, I did want to kind of follow in my father's footsteps. All right, and then I went to college. And when I went to college, I kind of threw the idea of medicine out the window. I think I was young, I was a little naive, and at that time, my goal was to kind of finish school and get a job and make lots of money, and that's what was important to me, money and having a nice job, and that...
that's typical about America.
Of course, sure.
Which is great
but I learned,
for many things.
Yeah.
Not so great for other
Absolutely.
things.
But that's what I thought. And I was very naive, and I thought, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to graduate and I'm going to get this great job on Wall Street and I'm going to be a big time stockbroker and I'm going to make all this money. Because at that time I didn't, the idea of medical school was not even a question, because I think, to be frank, I think I was a little bit lazy and a little bit intimidated, because I knew medical school would be, there's 4 years of college, then there's 4 years of medical school, 5 years, which is what I did residency. It's a long, difficult, challenging path. And so when I went to college at 18 years old, the first time I moved out of my house, I kind of threw that idea out the window, and I wanted to take the easy way out. And so I majored in economics, and I'm not saying economics is easy, but for me, I didn't want to go that other pathway.
Otherwise, my fiancé is going to kill you.
Yeah, no. But for me, I wanted to just kind of pick a major, something in the business realm, and then I just thought, I'll graduate. I went to a good university. They're going to be jumping after me for jobs, and I'm going to make all this money, and I'm going to have a great life. And so then I finished college, and I moved to LA, and I became a mortgage broker. And it's funny because when I first moved out here, I was, maybe I'll do law school, maybe I'll do business, I don't know. I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my life after 4 years of college. So I moved out here with no job, with my roommate at the time in college, who got into law school at UCLA. Mm-hmm. And he called me and he's like, you want to move to LA? I said, that would be great. And so we moved out here together, no job.
So you moved to LA first?
Mm-hmm. Moved
Then
to
you
LA
went
first.
back to Detroit.
That's right.
And then you went back to LA. I
That's
didn't
right.
know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm discovering a lot of new things about your life tonight.
Yeah.
I like it.
So I came out here, no job, wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and a friend of a friend owned a mortgage company here in Torrance, California, and he approached me and said, you know, come work for me. You can make this much money per year, and you know, all you got to do is be really charismatic and good with sales, and you know, people person. And that was me. I was a people person for sure. So I thought that sounded great.
You definitely are. I know that.
You as well, my friend. And so I took a job at this company, and you know, for me, it wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy it. I spent about 6 months there, and you know, I was in a cubicle, making about 300 phone calls a day, calling people at home,
Yeah,
you know, asking them if they wanted to be refinance their home, and it's like a cold call almost, and people would hang up, and no one wanted to be bothered, and it was a challenging job, but it required a lot of, you know, persistence, and that was my first hard work of my life, because we had 60 hours a week. We had.
I believe that unless you're Jordan Belfort, you're not going to have so much fun doing that.
That's very true, and
even in that case, you're going to have a lot of fun, but the consequences are terrible.
Absolutely, and you know that movie, The Big Short, was completely accurate.
That's another movie, though.
Yeah,
because Jordan Belfort.
No, I'm just saying that's Wolf of Wall Street. But I'm saying the movie The Big Short that everyone talks about for the mortgage industry is very accurate, at least from my experience. So, you know, and again, that job was, even though it wasn't for me, and I didn't enjoy it.
It was not your call.
It was not for me at all, and so. But it taught me my first taste of real hard work, because even in college, I will admittingly say, you know, my focus was not on my education. It was on enjoying, having fun, partying, having a good time, social life. And I don't think I graduated with a 3.0, I think, you know, B average student. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't a top elite student or anything like that. And I coasted my way through a little bit. And then I thought life would be easy. And then, so this job also kind of taught me nothing comes easy. You know, I thought it would be easy. I would make all this money, and, you know, and it was hard work, and you bust your ass. And you know, sometimes you make zero money because it's all commission. So if you don't sell any loans, and it was tough. So I didn't feel the same fulfillment that I obviously feel now with my job today. So I had to do some soul searching, and then it was Christmas, about a year after I started this job, and I went home. I had quit my job, by the way. I went into the boss's office. I don't want to do this anymore, and I walked out, and I went home kind of...
I want to ask you a question about this.
Yeah.
Because in Europe, where I come from, especially in Italy, a lot of people believe that quitting a safe job, it's pure madness. And I know that here is absolutely normal to quit job, change life perspective, completely start again from even when you're 50, 60 years old. I keep seeing people doing that, and I don't understand if it's a mindset that is different, or the fact that this country, I mean, for sure, the fact that this country give you so many more opportunities than any other countries in the world. But those opportunities are created by an incredible mindset. Very elastic, very flexible. Sorry, flexible, not elastic is in Italian. In Italian we say elastico, which means flexible. Yeah. But it's very interesting. How old were you at the time?
I was in my mid-20s. I'm trying to think what year that was. It was around 2008. I was born in 82.
So you felt that was not your right path. You felt that was not the right choice, and
and actually I did one. So I quit the job.
I got a question. Yeah. So in the back of your head, there was always the idea of becoming a doctor.
So as a child, you know, elementary, middle school, even high school, that was kind of the thought process. College came. I left home, a whole different world. Then I was like, no way, very intimidated, very, you know, wanted to eat.
So you went back to Detroit?
So I did, but first I went home, and I had a conversation with my father, and you know, I was very kind of down and depressed, and I'm in my mid-20s, I'm graduated from college, I don't have a job, I don't know what I want to do with my life. Mm-hmm. And he was the one that was like, well, whatever happened to medicine? You always wanted to be a doctor. Oh no, it's too hard. It's too late, I'm too old, I'm 25, 26, you know. And he was the one that kind of was like, well, why don't you go take some classes, and, you know, take some chemistry, science classes, because I tested out of those from high school to college. I never took any of those basic science classes in college. And oh no, I don't really want to do it. Oh, it's gonna take forever and it's gonna be too hard. He's like, just try one. Just go enroll. So I actually enrolled in Santa Monica Community College. You know that one in And I took chemistry.
Wait, your father was here in LA?
No, this is when I went home. I went home
so
for
you
Christmas.
Went home, and then you came back here. And, okay,
I went home to visit.
Christmas. Okay,
yeah, went home to visit for Christmas. Head in my hands, not sure what I wanted and what I was going to do with my life. And that's when he encouraged me. And so
you came back to Santa Monica College?
Santa Monica College. I enrolled in a chemistry class, general chemistry.
And you were 25, 26?
26, yeah, 26 years old.
That's pretty, especially for American standards.
Yeah.
That's pretty old.
That's old to start.
So it's
start
interesting.
back.
I wanted to have this chat about it and endure, the ability to endure the pain and the bad things that happen in life. But we are switching to something even more powerful, which is, there's always a path that waits for you in this life.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting. Wow. And you say something, I was feeling too old.
Yeah.
This is something that all of us always does. We feel too old to do this, too old to do that. And yet look at you now and look at what happened. And by the way, it's hilarious that you were feeling too old at 26 years old.
Yeah.
Which is, you're still in your prime, you can do whatever you want. Hey, you know me, I became a magician, professional magician at 33, 34 years old.
Yeah.
And I would have never imagined that it would have happened. So, life is expect the unexpected, man. Just go with the flow. There's always something that there are two ways of seeing this, in my opinion. One is destiny.
Yeah.
You believe in God, you don't believe in God, whatever you want to believe, but there's a path for you that is always giving you the hand, and is always telling you, hey, I'm here. If you want to take my hand, I'll lead you where you have to go, always. And wherever you are, wherever you go, this hand is always there to grab you and to tell you this is the right way, this is the right way, this is the right way, come with me, which is beautiful. And the other way to see it is that in the back of our mind, we know exactly what we want to do.
Yeah.
We are destined to do that, because in the end, if you have the strength to accept what you already know inside of you, and to accept and to be flexible again, and to just go with the flow, and to believe that if things happen, there's a reason. If things happen, if you're lucky to live, to survive, to be able to be healthy and to keep going in your life, there's always a way that you can get what you're born for. Otherwise, I don't understand what's the reason why we live this life.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So this is a great example of that.
Yeah.
A great example of that.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't know this about you. This is extraordinary. So you enrolled in Santa Monica College.
Enrolled in Santa Monica College, and that's kind of started the snowball,
Yeah.
And it was, despite me, it was ironic because when I was 18 and I thought about medical school, it's going to take forever, it's going to take too long, it's too hard, Now I'm 26, 8 years later, and here I am starting that path, and that's the kind of irony. I mean, and that first class, I really started to be very curious and engaged with it was chemistry, and it was just like, for me at that time, something just light bulb went off in my brain, and I was just so interested in it, and I wasn't. I still wasn't sure that I wanted to do medicine at that time, but I had a newfound interest in science, just in general. And from that point forward, I did my first 2 chemistry classes there. I did, and then I enrolled in Loyola Marymount here in Los Angeles in what's called a post-baccalaureate pre-medical program. And that is basically all of your prerequisites that you have to do in your undergraduate courses to get into medical school. So I did that, and then I squeezed all of that into a year and a half, and then I applied to medical school, and then I went into went back to Michigan, to Detroit, and did my medical school there, and that's kind of the path to how I got here today.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And now you work where you are. You play soccer with me.
Yeah, that's
right. Which is amazing.
If we can stay healthy.
If we can stay healthy, because we get injured all the time. Every game we get injured. It's insane. But thank God we have a doctor like you, 2 doctors with our other friend Alex.
Yeah.
It makes me feel safe to play soccer. Listen, it's very interesting. Everything. It's very interesting to know your path, to know how you end up being who you are. It's very inspiring. I'm also a filmmaker. I'm developing a story called Smoke Jumper, based on the real life of this incredible person named Jason Ramos, which was which has a story, an incredible story, and the way that he was brought to become the smoke jumper somehow makes me think of you, because somehow people that are very successful in life are not naturally, we're not naturally drawn by it at the beginning. So this is very inspiring. I love your story. Your story can be, I hope it can be an example for whoever out there listen to this chat that we have, and is like unsure about how old they are, or maybe they have a voice in the back of their head and they don't want to listen about a job or something that they want to do. You know, there's, I mean, many things that really can, I hope that people can feel and can, I want people to react to what we're doing right now, and I hope they will do, because you're an inspiration. I'm very proud to be your friend.
Thank you, my friend.
But I want to talk a little bit now about, still going back towards, what was the topic of this episode. I wanted to be the endurance of the pain. Okay, because, and let me light a little bit the moment, let's do a little magic moment, a little mentalism moment. Because it's funny, I used to show to kids sometimes. I have a little matchbox here, and I used to show to kids a simple little trick. Like, can you choose one of the matches, if you don't mind? Just touch it. This one, okay. This one, are you sure? 100%?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me close it. All right. Now, endurance, physically, mentally, it's hard to get it. It's hard to have it, but if you're able to do it, we're able to hit fire. Very good. And even and even hit a match like that.
Wow.
Camera. It's gone. Now the real magic happens when you put it back where it was. Take a look. Do you see it? Do you see it?
That's incredible.
Hold it in your hand for a second.
Absolutely incredible.
You know, the thing that makes more fun is that magic is always a good metaphor of the things that happen in life. This is a good metaphor. No matter what you suffer, what you endure, you can always, get it. How do you say? You can just get away with everything. Oh, do me a favor. I'm gonna put this here for a second, and I got another question for you right now. If you have to picture two playing cards in front of you, okay, and I want you to picture a playing card right here, okay, big in front of you. Do you picture one playing card? Don't say it out loud which card it is. Can you picture one playing card? Can you visualize it?
Yeah.
In front of you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine that you visualize it in front of you. Do you see it? Now, do you like this playing card or you don't like this playing card?
I like it.
You like it, okay. Can you switch and picture another playing card that you don't like very much?
Okay.
Can you visualize? Do you see it? You visualize it in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay, I want you to visualize it. It's very important.
Okay.
Okay, you visualize these two cards.
I can open my eyes?
Yeah, you can open your eyes. You don't like it. That's why your eyes closed.
I don't know. All right, yeah. I visualize.
Okay, so you visualize these two playing cards. What was the card that you like less?
The one I like less?
The one that you like less.
6 of diamonds.
The 6 of diamonds. Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, the idea that whatever we have in the back of our mind, okay, can happen in life and can be materialized in life, it's fascinating. It's one of the greatest principles of magic. But it's one of the things that we were talking about now. We were talking about, I may have an idea, I may have a feeling, an instinct of who I am and what I want to do, but I don't have the strength to follow. I don't have the will to follow, or just, I want to have fun, I want to make money, I want to choose the easy path. But if I don't choose the easy path, okay, if I just choose the right path, whatever I have in the back of my mind can be true, can be materialized and become truth. The matchbox that I gave you in your hand, you saw it, right? Mm-hmm. We opened it. There were all the matches. The matches were back there.
Mm-hmm. And one that you ate was in there.
And the one that I hated was back there. So now, if the matchbox suddenly transformed into something else and materialize the car that you had in your mind, that would be incredible, right?
Absolutely.
Can you pick it up in your mind? Open it and then show it to the camera.
How did you do that, man?
Hey, man.
Wow.
That's what they pay me for.
Wow. I thought of this card because typically everyone probably goes to like Queen of Hearts or Ace of Spades, so I thought I'd throw you off with a
No, it's gonna give me your hand like
weird
this.
card.
Give me your hand like this for a second. Think of the first card, but don't say anything. Just think of the first card. Think of it. Relax. Relax like this.
Okay.
Think of the first card. You have it.
Okay.
Okay. Visualize the card in front of you.
Okay.
Remember how to visualize a card. You have
Okay.
it? All right. It's a black card.
No.
It's not a black card.
No.
The first card that you chose in your mind. Did
No.
I ask you the card that you like?
Oh,
No, don't think of a new card. The card you were
I thought
thinking
you meant
before.
the card of a different card. Sorry.
No,
Yes,
no,
it's
no.
a black card. It's a black.
It's a black card.
Yeah.
The first card that you say, I like it very much.
Yes, earlier when you said to pick one and then pick a
Okay,
different
then
one.
I
Yes.
was lucky.
Yes. Sorry.
No, okay. Think about that.
Okay.
Think about it. See the black card? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now I want you to look at the suit.
Okay.
Okay. Take a deep breath in, relax. It's a club.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Now I want you to repeat in the back of your mind again.
Okay.
Just in your mind. I want you to repeat with this rhythm the value of the card. With this rhythm, with this rhythm, with this rhythm, with this rhythm, with this rhythm. It's easy. It's a name. It's Jack. Jack of clubs.
How the do you do that?
Man. I don't know. That's why they pay me a lot of money to do that.
That's amazing.
Magic is mentalism
Incredible.
is fun. There are a lot of crazy things that you can really make people believe if you're a criminal.
Yeah?
With mentalism and magic.
Wow. You're not a criminal though.
No, I don't. I just love
How
to-
do you do this?
I just love people to have fun and no, there's something beautiful you tell me sometimes. With all we started this podcast today talking about how sometimes we meet, we hang together, and I know that you had a bad day, and you look at me and you're like, I had a bad day.
Yeah.
Because something like
I
very
definitely
bad
have
happened.
I share bad days.
Yeah. And it's not about, your private problem. It's about your work, your line of work, and what you have to face that day.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed that beside a bad day, we always have the ability to have fun, to be happy together. You can, you can endure it pretty well.
Yeah.
And while we were talking, we realized that somehow in your subconscious, you're able to get used to it. And I felt, I'm a mentalist, I'm an hypnotist, I study psychology, so allow me to tell you that I felt that. I felt that you were not even aware of the fact that you were get used. You were almost like hurt by the fact that you can't get used to it.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's one thing that you tell me all the time that makes me understand, and I love you for that, because you always tell me, Riccardo, I always repeat to you, Kaz, you're the real hero, I feel useless, Kaz, you're the real hero. And then you tell me, no, Riccardo, because if people like you were not doing your job, you would not maybe be able to get used to it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you because you, with your work, with the craziness and dangers of your work, with the suffering that you see, with the pain that you see, with the horrible things that you see, you make me feel that my life is not useless when you tell me that. Because I'm sure that the entertainment and the happiness that I can bring to people, and like me, many others, performer, magician, musician, filmmaker, we can bring to the world positivity, awareness, a moment of smiling, a moment of, and I think that's really the best solution to endure the pain, because the pain is in this world.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing we can do to get rid of it. Nothing. But I also thought many times about this. I thought about it. We are happy. Why? Because we know what it means to not be happy.
Yeah.
Every moment in our life that we are happy is because we have experienced the not being happy.
Yeah.
So you take away the pain, you take away the sufferings, you take away all the terrible things in this world. And we ask all the time, why? Why this happened? Why this to me? Why this in this world? Why did that thing to that kid? We don't know why. But we can know for sure that if we didn't have this pain, we would not know what it means to be happy, to be joyful. We would not be what it means to be in love. We would not know what it means, all the beautiful things that we have in life.
Yeah.
We would not enjoy them.
What do they say? It's without the bitter, there would be no sweet, or something like that.
It's a simple concept, but it's not that easy to understand. We get used to a lot of proverbs and concepts and phrases, but we don't really analyze them. And our mind can only conceive the opposite. We live in a dual world. You know, there's black, there is white, there is right wing and left wing. There is everything is the opposite of itself. You know, there is a battle between in the chess. You play white against black. You don't have a third part, and it's the ancient and most beautiful games of all time. In the movie, there's always a good guy and a bad guy. Then in the middle, you have 1,000 of shades, but the core is that one. And knowing that we need the bad to have good triumph. We need the sufferings to understand what it means to be happy. We need all. Maybe this world is not that wrong. Yes, it's easy to say that when we are sitting on the couch, living our dreams, living in Hollywood, being happy. I can tell you. Yes, of course. But at the same time, we have to do that when we're sitting in this couch. True, but we have to think like this even when we are in a bed of a hospital, on the edge of dying, or with a terrible disease, or when something terrible happens to us or to the people we love. We have to. I think that that's the best way to endure the pain, to endure the worst thing in life, and to accept them. Because there's no solution. Otherwise, there's only despair, victimism, depression, and many other things that we should avoid. Because yes, we cannot avoid pain, we cannot avoid sufferings, we cannot avoid tragedies when they happen. But man, we can avoid the wrong consequences of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's something
100%,
we have to.
100%.
So when you think about yourself and you're like, I kind of get used to it, don't be upset about that. You're protecting yourself emotionally, and you're doing the only thing that allow you to live your life and enjoy your life in the best way possible, and not being traumatized and shocked by everything you see in your life, Cass.
It's also another way that I look at it is it's important for the patients that I treat to not let that fluster me or let the emotion take over, because if I operate on a patient and something goes wrong and the patient dies, or there's we can't save their life, or if I let that derail me emotionally or mentally, then I have another patient I'm taking care of tomorrow or in a few hours or whatever. I can't let this bad outcome or unfortunate situation affect the care of the next patient that I have to take care of. So I know myself that it is emotional and physical toll that it takes on a person to do to be a surgeon or a physician in general, but I can't let that. I know that I can't let that derail me or take me off my focus, because then patients suffer, people suffer. So that's another reason why I think it's important to endure that. And
this could open another 3 hours of talk. What you just said, right?
Yeah.
But that was absolutely true. Well, you know what? We will invite you back soon, hopefully, to talk about many other topics. But in the meantime, I think that we did a good job.
Thank you. I'm
in
so
getting
happy
to know
that you
yourself.
invited me to come here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother, for being here. It was amazing to getting to know you better. It was amazing to understand how a doctor's life works. What's the path? It was amazing to get to know your path as another example of how success comes in an unexpected way, and there's always obstacle, the major obstacle in life most of the time is ourselves. We are the major obstacle to our success.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's incredible. We're never too old to start to do anything, never. And yeah, and it was great to understand that there cannot be happiness without pain. So thank you very much for being here. It was a pleasure to have you, brother. Really, Cassra Arbab, thank you very much for being here. My name is Riccardo Berdini. It was a pleasure to spend this time with you guys. I hope that you love what you heard. If you're looking at the YouTube channel, please subscribe to the channel and share this conversation if you think that could help someone or can shine a light in anything about in your life for anybody. And again, we'll be here next week with another episode of Magic of the Mind. Thank you very much.